Mrs. Green Apple, we are back to begin our new track by track album listen through. Yes, previously we did Attitude, we are now doing Antenna. But before I get into doing this first song from the Antenna album, which is beautifully called Antenna, I'm going to give a little bit of a preamble. Now, one of the things I really like about doing these Mrs. Green Apple reactions, and one of the reasons why I kept on doing them so long, apart from just the music, is the fact that when I do reactions, I like to do the sorts of reactions where you get good conversations in the comments, where people talk about it and you really get to have some really interesting back and forth. And to be honest, I had so much great feedback when I was doing my reaction to the Antenna, to the Attitude album, that I felt, well, yeah, I definitely want to continue this. And looking through, continue this with you guys on the channel, and looking through a lot of the comments, I was trying to pick up what you guys wanted me to listen to next. Now, myself, I got to be honest, I was thinking, after really enjoying Attitude, I kind of wanted to go back to the beginning and find their very earliest release. That was my original intention. So I looked through and I found, oh, Introduction. Let's go check out Introduction. Maybe that'll be a cool place to see. Looked up all the information, but I couldn't find it online anywhere. Did a little bit of research, because as you can see, it is an independent release. And, well, basically from what I can see, yeah, it was only sold as a physical copy in live houses. I do wonder if anyone has a copy of that and they know where I can get it, please let me know. I would love to hear that. I would love to hear that. But because that was not available, I was like, where should I start? I don't want to kind of go back to the beginning, but not really to the beginning. And then I read through the comments, and a lot of you wanted me to check out this most recent album, Antenna, which at the time I didn't even realize was the most recent album. Came out in 2023. As you can see, very much cementing the success of the band. Look at that chart-topping success we have. Where was the one place? Oh, it didn't get to number one in the overall charts, but that's a complicated thing. And by the way, just charts, that they're so irrelevant these days. The thing that really shows you how successful you are is like your cultural impact, and that's where Mrs. Green Apple, I think, is more impressive than any chart success they've had. Is you just, when you're walking around Japan, everywhere you are in Japan, you see them in adverts, everyone knows their songs, they're playing on everything, you know, got endorsements for everything. They're clearly just a massive cultural phenomenon. Now, this most recent album did come out in summer of 2023. And it's also the album that directly follows up Attitude that we've just finished listening through to. It came 4 years later, and obviously as well, Attitude was the one with the 5-piece lineup. So what I'm now realizing right here and now, Antenna's the only full-length album they've had as a 3-piece. Which is interesting. Of course, I've heard some of their songs as a 3-piece. I've reacted to some of their singles before I started doing the track-by-track album listen-throughs. And so I'm kind of interested. I mean, one of the reasons why I went back to Attitude is because there were so many songs I really liked from it. And a lot of the things I liked about the sound, I gotta be honest, were very much innate to the whole, that big, thick band sound they have. So I'm interested to see where Antenna goes. Now, obviously, I know the lead singer is the songwriter, and I've heard, you know, like their most recent single, Lulu, which definitely brought a lot of that full sound they have. But then again, I'd also heard songs like Breakfast, which I enjoyed, but didn't, in retrospect, now looking back at it, as much as I enjoyed Breakfast, it certainly wasn't an indication of a lot of things that I now enjoy about Mrs. Green Apple. It was just kind of a fun pop song, but you know, there's a lot of things to get together, and of course these are all things that are in my mind, but I'm not going to cloud my judgment, but are in my mind nonetheless as I walk into doing my response to Antenna, which by the way does have an album cover that, I mean, that will just make your eyes bleed. But I'm not going to complain though. Hey, I'm all for bright and colourful album covers, but that is a lot to deal with. Wait, what? Okay. That is a... can you see that advert? I don't think you can see that advert that's at the top of Wikipedia. It says, Wiki loves folklore. I think that's just a coincidence. Just the last reaction I did of Mrs. Green Apple was the song Folklore. I was like, wait a minute, is that? That's a coincidence. Anyway. That was a bit of a coincidence. So, yeah, I'm going to be jumping in with this album. Obviously, I know they got a lot of songs separately after this. I think there are a couple of songs like Que Sera Sera, which are on here, which I have already reacted to. Looking for, I mean, Que Sera Sera, actually, I remember really enjoying that. I really enjoyed that song. But looking through here, yeah, oh, wow. Okay, this is particularly interesting as well. I always said when from Attitude that I was really interested in any of the songs that didn't have a music video. And looking at this, everything from 8 to 13 is a 13-track album, but those last 6 do not have music videos. Oh, in fact, 2 up the front as well. So we can have maybe we've got some experimentation going on here. Who knows what's going to happen? But what I do know is going to happen is we're going to start with Antenna. That's what we're here to do today. So thank you for sitting down and listening to my long introduction, because again, like I say, I enjoy the fact that the Mrs. Green Apple sort of fan community has really been cool. Listened to my comments and responded, and we had some great conversations. So I hope you get to enjoy this on the same level that I'm getting to enjoy it. And let's dive in with this first song. No idea what to expect. So I don't think this was their first single since becoming a three-piece. I think this is just the song up at the beginning of the album, but this is obviously early on in their three-piece era. I am going to miss the drummer. I'm going to miss the five-piece sound maybe, but let's see how they continued with it. And moreover, I will say, opening song on the album, because of all the things I liked about Attitude, I have to admit I felt it had a very wonky start. Like that intro was... I liked the idea, but it didn't really work very well as an intro. And then it went straight into the title track, which, great song, but not a great album opener. It was a very strange beginning to that album. So let's see if Antenna can start with a little bit more of a strong first foot and push us in a really positive direction. Let's give it a listen. Is all the sound up? I should have checked that before I started. All the sound is up. Let's go. Oh, I like the sound immediately. Oh, that little weird distorted sound's awesome. Woo! That's a strong intro. Alright. This is a bit more like it. We're just going straight rock. Get everyone fist pumping. That's much more Mrs. Green Apple sounding now. This video is already very weird. Interesting key change there, okay. This video is very weird. Yeah, it's very weird. This is a much more straightforward song in a lot of ways, but we've still got those dual guitars left and right. It's an eye-catching and artsy video, but I'm not quite sure if it conveys the energy of the song. Oh man, it's trippy. Liking the steady build up again. Do you know it's more of a... In ways it feels very familiar. But you can also hear a lot of... The sound is much more direct in a weird way. You can really feel what they're going for here. Ah, he found his feet. He is eating up the scenery. Like, he's doing a music video, but he can't move. So. All facial expressions. It's definitely a really nice kind of chorus. Where is he? Where is he? He's having a really boring picnic and he's nodded off. I love that sound. That like weird distorted sound underneath the riff is really cool. Actually looks a little bit like where they did film Lulu. This one was properly interesting. I mean, it's interesting because after we had that 4 years between Attitude and Antenna, and so I'm sure there would have been like singles and things you would have heard first, but I wonder what this must have been like if you were, I don't know if this song came out before the album as well, but I just sort of imagining in an old school way if you were like a Mrs. Green Apple fan and you'd been really into the previous stuff, and then you put on the album for the first time to listen, and this is the first song you hear. I really wonder how you'd feel about this, because I have to think about this in multiple different ways when trying to give it a review. One is what it must have been like at the time. 2 is how I feel about it just as a song, and 3 is how I feel about it as an album opener. Because like I say, when I do these track-by-track reviews of albums, I'm really thinking about how each song sits together, because the whole point of doing a track-by-track album review is not just to listen to the individual songs, but actually to see how you feel about that album as an experience, as a little bit of a time capsule of where the band was creatively at that moment in their career. And the narrative that they wove out of that. So when I listen to this particular song, first things first, as an album opener, it's a strong album opener. Yeah, I love how it comes in with like that sort of nice, eerie sound. You immediately hear a riff. We're going into a sort of rocking direction, but it's all kind of slightly distorted sounds. You know that you're getting some weird sounds and you're waiting for it to all drop in. And when it comes in, it's like a good, solid rock riff. And you've got a lot of the qualities that you would normally associate with Mrs. Green Apple, but I can't deny, for all the compliments I am going to give this song, I have to say this is definitely one of the thinner sounding songs, which if I was a big fan of the 5-piece sound they'd had before, I'd be listening to this going, I can really feel that you are only 3-piece now, because regardless of what the actual members play, it's just it doesn't quite sound as thick and as full as a lot of the songs that we would associate with the Attitude era of the band, or the Attitude album, where there's just all these things happening all the time. There's things happening here, but you've got like a couple of guitar lines. There's not a huge amount going on with the bass line. The bass line's pretty simple. The song is one of their more simple ones that I've heard to date. But then again, it is also an album opener. And album openers are supposed to sort of like be the fist pumping, here we are, let's get this started kind of song. They're not. I mean, ironically, one of the reasons why I actually think the Attitude probably was not the best song to begin the Attitude album with is because it wasn't exactly much of a rousing rally cry. It was more like a delicate song that kind of came together through, kind of like a song that probably benefits from repeat listens. Whereas this is definitely one of those songs where I think, you're not going to get much from it upon repeat listens that you didn't get from the first listen. But the first listen is definitely a, hey, pump your hands in the air, get this started kind of sound. I think it was, I enjoyed this. Is it what I would... How does it rank against what I feel about Mrs. Green Apple songs? I certainly wouldn't put it in the upper echelons of them. But I wouldn't say there was anything wrong with it either. It was just kind of like a good, solid song that reminded you a lot of Mrs. Green Apple things. It added a little bit of a different sound to what they do. Just wasn't like sort of one of my, oh my God, I love this. Just kind of like, hey, that's cool. That's a good song. It's a nice song. Good album opener. So that has me now really interested to see what the next song is. The next song is Magic. I've never heard that one before. Then we got 2 non-video songs. Then we got Que Sera, Que Sera, which I already know is, Que Sera, Sera, which I already know is an absolute banger. And then that's it. Wow, we've got a lot of songs on this album I haven't heard. This is going to be a really interesting track-by-track listen through. I am very much excited about this. I think you got... actually, I can't remember who it was. Apologies, but I know there's one person in my chat who's been telling me regularly Blizzard is like their favourite song. So I know I've got to keep my eye out for that one. I'm still going to be honest, whatever. I think I'm going to be honest with you. But I've got to be honest. This was a good, strong song. The video was fun as well. I liked it. I'm a great believer when it comes to music videos that a music video needs to kind of needs to be the visual language for what you're hearing. The only thing I would say about this one is that visually, I loved that it had lots of like cool concepts and it was very sort of eye-popping and lots of things going on. That is not a good pose. Sorry, my man. I left him in a very unfortunate pose there. But for all the things that I really liked about the visuals, I felt like for a song which is really sort of fist pumping, the video spent a lot of time moving very slowly. And I think the videos have to move at the same pace as the song as well. So as a music video, this was really eye-catching, but I don't think it moved with the same kind of level of intensity. And I think that might have helped as well. Obviously, I tried to review these without paying too much attention to the video. And the song, like I say, great in its own right. But I think if this video had been the same concept, but just a bit more punchy, just a little bit more movement, I think that would have helped. But I have to say, as a general, this was satisfying. Satisfying from a band who is legendary. So I'm definitely, as I say, I'm going to follow the rest of this track by track through just because you guys have been hyping me for songs like Blizzard. I already know that Que Sera Sera is an epic one, but I've got to be honest, this is a steady start. Good album opener. Yeah, so as an album opener, 8 out of 10. As a Mrs. Green Apple song, yeah, it's in that middle range. Yeah, 5 or 6. Nothing wrong with it. It's fine, 5 or 6. That's where I stand on this one. As always, I'm always honest on this channel. Let me know what you think. Looking forward to hearing your comments. We're going to keep this one going all the way through to the end. So until I hopefully see you very soon in Japan for the next one of these. For now. Ciao, ciao.